We are learning new details from the FBI and the mayor of New Orleans about that New Year's Day terror attack on Bourbon Street. The FBI saying the suspect made 2 trips to New Orleans before the attack, stayed in a rental home, and used meta glasses to record his bike ride through the French Quarter. Mayor LaToya Cantrell also announced heightened security for the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras, with large crowds of tourists expected in the city for each of those events. She said she would discuss security for those events with the president during his visit to New Orleans tomorrow. ABC's Trevor Ault joins me now from New Orleans with the latest for us. Boy, Trevor, earlier on at that news conference, we got a lot of new information on the investigation. What's the latest?
Yeah, Phil, we definitely got some clarity from the FBI today. In fact, they say that in the past 48 hours, things have become much more clear for them. And essentially today, the big headline likely was the timeline of the night of the attack. They say that this suspect arrived here from Texas around 10 p.m. here in New Orleans, arrived at his rental home, and then about 90 minutes or so before the attack began placing some of those homemade IEDs right here on Bourbon Street, just a few blocks away from where we are. The first one about 90 minutes before the attack, an IED in a cooler that he placed at an intersection. About a half hour after that, he then placed a second cooler with an IED at a different intersection. And then, of course, he had that rented F-150 that he drove around the barricade, the law enforcement vehicle, killing those 14 people. But they also say, in revealing those details, Phil, that there were many things that could have made this even more disastrous, including the fact that one of those IEDs in a cooler that he placed at an intersection, according to the FBI, a bystander unknowingly grabbed that cooler and moved it a block. They also say that this suspect had a remote detonator with him in the truck. They believe he tried to detonate it and failed, they say, because he's unfamiliar with explosives. But they also say it was still possible that they could have gone off and likely would have had the suspect not been killed in the shootout with law enforcement. They, of course, as you touched on, talked a little bit about the possibilities of his radicalization and the timeline there. They say in 2023 he went to Egypt. He also went to Ontario, Canada. We don't know for sure if those are related to his radicalization. We've also heard, according to sources, that the night of the attack, he recorded a number of videos on social media in which he addressed them to his family. He said that earlier in the year he had joined ISIS. He talked a little bit about wishing to harm his family, but instead he wanted to turn America's focus towards the war between believers and disbelievers. But he still said he wanted his family to know that he was not sparing them willingly. It all paints a very chilling picture of what happened here, though according to the FBI, it could have been far worse. They are still every day, though, learning a little bit more about this attack and what led into it, Phil.
And Trevor, as we move forward, that area has the Super Bowl, Mardi Gras. What kind of security is the mayor calling for and discussing ahead of both of those events?
Yeah, of course, it's top of mind, Phil, because the carnival season begins here tomorrow, essentially kicking off the Mardi Gras season with the Joan of Arc parade tomorrow. The mayor has said that she would like to raise the security level for Mardi Gras, kick it up to a higher level, get some federal assistance. She also says she's going to be talking with President Biden because he will be here in New Orleans tomorrow. We have also already seen, of course, that escalated security right after this attack, all up and down Bourbon Street. But also, of course, they hosted a college football playoff game, a massive game, the Sugar Bowl, in which officials said the security footprint for that, when it was ratcheted up, was similar to what you would typically see for the Super Bowl. So they've already had kind of a practice run in there, but you might see even further elevated security for the Super Bowl, which is just a month away. That, of course, also has federal resources coming in, multiple steps of law enforcement from local, state, federal officials. They'll be considering cyber threats as well, things on the water here in New Orleans. There's a lot of layers to it, Phil, but the mayor has insisted she wants a higher level of security.
Yeah, certainly. And strength in the face of terror. It is nice to hear that familiar New Orleans music behind you, Trevor, as people begin to get back out and about. Thanks so much, Trevor Ault.